And I'll just say that I had a chance along with my other IWA folks, we went January 2019 to San Quentin and were able to see the program up close, or witness part of the program. The facilitation was fantastic. You could feel the commitment and the practice of the men there, and I think we were all blown away. We spent quite a bit of time afterwards debriefing and talking about it, and so I'm excited to have two of the fellows here with us. So I'm just going to start us off with just a 5-minute grounding meditation to settle us. It's mostly to settle me, but I'm saying it, to settle all of us. So just for a few minutes, and I'll sound the bell. So just allowing ourselves to be in a relaxed and yet alert, dignified posture, whether that's sitting, standing, or lying down. Doesn't matter where you are. Just allowing yourself to find the natural rhythms of the breath, perhaps at the nostrils, or the rise and fall at the chest or belly, or maybe it's knowing sensations in the body scan. May these moments of mindfulness and this merit of the practice benefit all beings and bring peace. All right, thank you all. So I'm gonna let Fatine and Michael introduce themselves, and I'll just say this one thing. So I had an opportunity to talk to Fatine via Zoom, just to talk about all of this. And you know how usually when you come together with someone you haven't met, or it's new or whatever, it's a little bit awkward. You're trying to like figure it all out. Fatine was wearing a Kobe Bryant jersey, so we fell into a nice little conversation about the Los Angeles Lakers, and it was easy. And I think we ended up talking for like an hour because it was actually quite easy and wonderful to connect with him. So I'm happy to have them do their thing. So Fatine, if you could introduce yourself, and Michael, introduce yourself, and then I have a few questions, and you guys will lead us in a practice or another meditation, and then we'll open it up for questions for everybody. All right.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Devin. Yeah, greetings, everyone. Thank you for having us here on this event. My name is Fatine Jackson. I'm 44 years old. Just in a nutshell, I did 21 years in prison. I was sentenced to 36 years for a violent offense, and I ended up serving 21 and was released in 2019. I got involved in mindfulness through GRIP, which GRIP stands for Guiding Raising the Power, inside prison, and it was life-changing for me. And the mindfulness piece of GRIP is what really helped me understand the nature of my own like traumas and things. And now I have more grounding in a more sensible way that I deal with things. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience I had with GRIP. So I just want to give you a little bit, which is the raw part of it. That way, you know who I am all the way. I don't hold nothing back. And I'm just, happy to be right here. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatine. And Michael.
Yeah, my name is Michael Cabral. I also came into mindfulness practices through the GRIP organization, who I got involved with in 2016 and have been connected with them since. I went to prison when I was 17 years old with a life sentence, and I did a total of 16 years, 8 months on that. And it was also for a violent offense, second-degree murder. And I can say, I much like Fatine, came through a childhood and a background of a lot of trauma. I came through a household that was drug addicted, alcoholic, and very abusive physically. I went through sexual abuse when I was a child, and it was all stuff that I just did not know how to process or ever let go of. And if I never would have come into the GRIP organization and never would have come to a place of acceptance and reached even a place where I could practice mindfulness, I would still be in prison.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. So I had a couple questions actually, and you both have spoken to it a little bit, but I was going through while we were there, we ended up getting, Jacques gave us the Sitting in the Fire manual. And I was reading, so I was checking some of this out, and there was this section in there, Fatine, or talking about as it is, or it was something like that, that sort of really led me to be curious about sitting in the fire and how mindfulness works in that way, because I'm guessing from the little bit that we experienced there that somewhere the sounds and not being able to physically move around and do things as you want to just have you sitting in this fire constantly, and what role mindfulness plays in that. How are you able to work with any of that? Yeah, I'm curious about that. I guess basically it's like what has mindfulness contributed to your work with GRIP, in GRIP, and in your life in general? And as I said, I've heard a little bit, you've spoken to it, but if you care to add to any of that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I try not to be too long. Sitting in the fire for me, which is an element of the GRIP program. Sitting in the fire is part of the curriculum, of the 52-week curriculum that we do. And it's about us looking into a moment of an imminent danger. So a moment of imminent danger can spark anger. A moment of imminent danger can spark sadness. It can spark unpleasant emotions, right? And that is a form of sitting in the fire. Usually in GRIP, any trigger that we experience is sitting in the fire. And some of those triggers are connected to our past that we may not even be aware of. And so what we do with sitting in the fire in the GRIP program is allowing ourselves to feel the unpleasant emotion without trying to run away from it, and allowing ourselves to accept it for what it is in the moment at the time. And if we put mindfulness in it, mindfulness help us go in, through, and out of that emotion without there's been any lingering effects, any lingering negative effects of the emotion. So for instance, when we were talking about, me and Michael talking about our experience in GRIP and facing our traumas, that's one form of sitting in the fire, the ultimate form of sitting in the fire, where we have to face things that we don't want to, especially when we were vulnerable, helpless, as kids, or, whatever it was. There was a trauma that happened. And some of us, myself, that I avoided, acknowledging certain traumas, I avoided wanting to feel the effects of the trauma, and it came out in, very negative ways, right? And so when I finally got the courage up to sit in the fire on some of these traumas, I was able to get a deeper understanding as to what was happening with me in my body when I thought of these things, and how I was able to manage through that. Like, it didn't kill me. It didn't damage me. I don't have brain damage. I'm not crippled, none of that from sitting in the fire, And what I found is, once I was able to do it the first time, it became easier the next time, and easier and easier. And to the point where I can think very clearly when I'm, triggered and feeling the anger emotion. I'm able to have perspective about my response to a given situation, and understanding what other people are coming from in a given situation. And so, in a nutshell, for me, sitting in the fire is allowing yourself to be inside the unpleasantness of the moment, and not run from it, and face it, and allow it to move through you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Fatine. Thank you. Beautiful. I had a question, Michael. So now you're out, you've done the program in GRIP, you facilitate the program. So I'm curious what motivates you to continue to do the work, to continue to do the service with GRIP and in your life. What's the motivation for you now? Does that make sense? The question makes sense? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a really good question, because I see a lot of people not necessarily just come through that program, but come through similar situations and circumstances, also achieve their freedom, come home and go right back to what they were before. And for me, I think, in a word, what motivates me to continue on this path is appreciation. Like the traumas that I experienced before, if not for being able to sit in that fire and deal with it and cope with it, and learn how to continue to sit in whatever fires might come along my path today, like I said, I would still be in prison. And even worse than that, I would still be miserable. I think what actually gave me the truest sense of freedom, through which I achieved through the GRIP program, was the ability to just feel grateful for every moment. Because through sitting in the fire, one of the things that I learned was that, when I start to feel uncomfortable, when something irritates me or makes me mad, or triggers a sense of loneliness, I understand today that, first of all, it's okay not to be okay. But the other part of it is that, every negative feeling, or every feeling that I interpret as negative, is a conversation my body is trying to have with me, And so, like, I know today that when I'm sad, or when I'm scared, or when I'm lonely, or when I'm frustrated, I don't have to get angry about it. I just have to take the time to figure out what's actually wrong, and I get to deal with that today. And just the freedom of that alone made me walk even in some of the roughest prison yards around with a smile. And it was like one of the most beautiful things. And I always took it as the greatest compliment I ever received in my lifetime, that I used to be the kind of kid that, when I walked up even to my own circle of friends, they would take a deep breath, because they knew, damn, Mike's gonna start some shit. Excuse my language. And now, I've really come to terms with who I actually am, which is something that GRIP also focuses on. This return to our authentic selves, who we are, who we actually are, who we were born to be. And I know that I was born to be a good, kind, loving, caring man. And so now when I walk up to people, or even when I walk up to strangers, um, they greet me with a smile, you know? And I absolutely love that. And I love that. And knowing what it's done for me, and knowing also what I had to go through to achieve that, I understand that people who have the same looks on their face that I used to carry on mine, or the same burdens in their heart that I used to carry in mine, man, I want them out of that too, you know? And it's just appreciation. I know what it's like on both sides, and it's so much better to be greeted with a smile. But it takes work to achieve that. And I'm gonna continue to do that work because I'm damn grateful for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm. Well, like I said, their facilitation skills are like just sky high. So I'm getting out of the way with my questions because they don't need my questions. They can speak for themselves. So I'm gonna let these two offer a practice to us, or guide us in a meditation, or whatever it is you want to do for a bit, and then we'll open it up for everyone else to ask some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. If it's all right with you, Michael, we can do one of our groundings that we do when we're inside our groups. I can give a basics of what we do inside the group, and touch on some of our grounding methods that we do before we get into any processing work inside GRIP. Everybody good with that? Cool. All righty. So just to give you a brief on what we do inside the group. So once the guys assemble inside a class, usually in the prison yard, in the education area, to settle ourselves down, we do at least between a 5 to a 10-minute grounding. And the element of GRIP, which the third element is cultivating mindfulness, is practice in there in the beginning, so we can all be present in the moment and to receive the information that we're about to, learn, or just be able to be open in the moment to receive this information. And so usually a facilitator do it, sometimes a student will do it. What we focus on in our grounding meditations is the sensations. It's the bodily sensations of what's happening in the moment. We want students to understand, you can focus on what's happening in your body and your breath, and be present and be aware of everything around you without having to focus on one particular thing, right? And so it gives us that sense of release, and it opens us up for more understanding. So if you will, I will take us through one of our grounding sessions that we do, that I did when I was inside San Quentin. And we try to keep it simple because a lot of people is not too familiar with meditation and thinking that it interferes with religion in some sense. But we always tell them that this is it's an interfaith thing, and it's just for learning. So if you will, I invite you to get in a comfortable position in your seats where your posture is semi erect with the head tilted. If you're able to, make sure that your feet is grounded on the ground flat. within shoulder level. I also invite you to close your eyes if you're willing. If not, you can, focus on the ground or some area. Then all I ask is that you just breathe. Notice your breath right now as it is. Is your breath shallow? Is it deep? Is anything impeding your breath from flowing? Notice what your breath is doing in its natural state. So after you notice what your breath is doing in its natural state, we will take 5 deep breaths together to try to sync our energy. I will do it on the count of 3, and I would just say inhale and exhale. That way we stay within sync. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale deeply. Hold. Exhale. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Now go back to your normal breathing state. What do you notice now? Have your breathing got even deeper from us syncing our breath together? Or is it in the same state it was prior to? We're not judging nothing. We just want to take notice. After you notice where your breath is at, we'll start to do a body scan. Starting from our feet. Notice what's going on in your feet right now. Do your feet feel heavy? Do you feel any tenseness in your feet? Any pain or discomfort? Whatever it is you're feeling in your feet, let's breathe into it and just notice it. Moving up to the knees. Are you feeling any pain between the ankle and the knees? Any tension? Any discomfort? Or are you just comfortable between your ankle and your knees? Notice what this sensation is and breathe into it. After you notice what's going on between your ankles and your knees, notice what's happening in your upper leg area, between your knees and your thighs and your lower stomach. Are there any tension, any pains, any discomforts, or any comforts? Whatever it is that you notice, let's breathe into it. After you notice that, think about the area between the lower stomach and the upper shoulders, your torso area, your chest, and your lower neck. Is there any discomforts there? Any pains? Any tension? Or any comforts? Whatever it is, notice it and breathe into it. After you notice that, look into your arms, your hands, and your fingers. What are you feeling in that area, in those areas? Is there anything that I mentioned before? Pains, tension, discomfort, or comfort in any of the areas on your hands, fingers, and arms? Whatever it is, let's breathe into it. Now we would notice what's going on between our lower neck area and the top of our heads. Is there any tension anywhere on our necks? Which a lot of times tension sits in our neck areas, sometimes even in our upper shoulders, in our jaws. Is there any tension there right now? Any discomforts or comforts? Notice it and let's breathe into it. Notice your thoughts right now? Have you found yourself distracted or able to notice? Even if you do find yourself distracted, the important part was you were able to notice it. What are your ears hearing right now? Perhaps it's a pregnant silence in the environment you're in. Perhaps there's outside background noise. Whatever it is you're hearing, without engaging it, just notice it. And let's breathe into that. Notice as you breathe into that, does any of those sounds bring any discomfort, any tension, any pain, or comfort? As you breathe, now notice your breath. Are you feeling the coolness of the air as you inhale? And are you able to feel the warmth as you release your breath out into the world? Just notice that. The importance of this mindfulness grounding is to understand that we are able to notice what is happening in our bodies at any given moment. What we're hearing, what we're seeing, what we're smelling, what we're tasting, all has communication in our body. Through this practice of notice, we are able to gain a deeper understanding as to what we are experiencing at any given time. We're mindfully aware that we're here amongst some very good, fine folks looking to serve. With that being in mind, notice what's in your body from that standpoint. Think about why you're here. What are your reasons? And check your body to see what comes up for you. Let's breathe into that for a second. Okay. I would like to end with us having one more synchronized breathing exercise. We would do it on my count of 3, so everyone could be prepared. I'm going to start with an inhale and then so on. On my count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in deeply. Exhale. 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 Go back to your normal state of breathing. Notice how it is right now. Has it changed? Is it the same? What have you noticed? I give you a few more breaths to think about that. And when you're ready, come back to the meeting.
Thank you, Fatine. Thank you.
Welcome.
So I want to make sure we have some time for folks to ask some questions. And I realized too that, so I started talking about GRIP as if everybody had heard, but I know there's a number of people here that came when Kim Moore, the ED, spoke about what GRIP is, and we talked a little bit about Jacques as well. So if I wouldn't mind if one of you would just give just a brief encapsulation of what the GRIP program is, if you could do that, either of you, it's fine.
You want to talk about what GRIP is? What is GRIP?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. How do I explain it? Okay, well, GRIP is technically a self-help program that focuses on four elements, which are and Fatine just mentioned them. I'm sorry, I'm frazzled. I'm at work right now.
No,
Yeah.
no, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, no, it's a stop my violence, right? Do no harm, cultivating mindfulness, developing emotional intelligence, and understanding victim impact. Because we believe that by really accepting and embracing these four concepts, and in the middle of this, like really coming to terms with who we are, who we truly are, and not who we became as a result of neglecting whatever trauma that we experienced in our lives, then we get back to the to our core, to our true selves, who we are as human beings. And when I talk about this always to the fellas, I always like to use the example that there was a time when each of us used to get excited when we heard the ice cream truck coming down the road, right? And there was nothing else that mattered in the world. All we knew was that, man, we want some ice cream, and that would just be amazing right now. A simple musical tone coming from 2 blocks away used to make us happy. And then something happened to us where we lost that. Where now the ice cream truck represents a blockage of traffic, or just even the sweetness of ice cream just doesn't matter anymore, right? Cooling down on a hot day just lost its appeal because we get caught up in bills or our own emotional states, or rather we neglect our emotional states, and we became somehow these angry people. But if we, learn to develop emotional intelligence, if we start by, first of all, stopping our violence, and then we come to learn emotional intelligence, understanding that whatever we are feeling has purpose, has meaning, and has value, and we learn what that purpose, meaning, and value is, and then learn to express that, we can also then develop mindfulness, which for me, we come to terms with, or come to acceptance and awareness of who we are and what's going on around us. And for me, it's been especially life-changing, because I would see another angry person and I would take it as a challenge before. Where today I could see an angry person and understand that, man, I got like that too. And I know where that came from within myself. And I might not know the next person's story, not completely, but I know enough to know that if it's true of me that I got that way from something that happened, it must be true of this person too. And so mindfulness has just really, made me a lot more empathetic. And then there's the fourth element, understanding victim impact. And this to me is just really what really just drives home what grip aims to achieve. Because once we take the time to understand that the things we did that hurt other people, and then we take a look at how these people were really hurt, it's one of the things that really keeps me in line. Like I said, I went to prison for second-degree murder. And my mind at the time, I've tried to justify it before by saying that I was just 17 years old. I didn't know any better. But whether I knew any better or not, or however I came to a place where I could find it within myself to take another man's life, the fact is that people were hurt behind that. I always thought I was the only victim in this situation. And fact is, there's a man who lost his life. There's a mother and a father who lost their son. There's brothers and a sister who lost their brother. There's nieces and nephews who lost their uncle. And then on the other side of that, you know what? For 17 years, I took that same thing away from the people who love me. And then there's this greater community impact where I committed this crime in a very nice neighborhood. And yet the lady who lived next door now was so scared that she sold her house and moved. And this was, and I knew this lady, and she used to brag to people. She was so proud. This was the first house she'd ever owned in her life. She was like 45 years old at the time. And I took that from her. So just knowing how that one snap decision changed so many lives, so many more than I will even know, makes me realize the power of whatever decision I make. I'm not going to hurt anybody like that ever again. For me, that's what grip is.
Thank you, man. Hey, that was powerful, Michael. That was very powerful. I couldn't explain it no better, and you did it in real terms, in the real life way. I just want to add to it, what he's saying. That's what grip is. Well, and the more formal term of it is it's a comprehensive offender accountability program. So we're going in there to learn about ourselves, but we're also going in to be held accountable to ourselves, you know, to our actions, our decisions. So we're not blaming others and we're not minimizing. We're taking full accountability of our decisions and our actions at that time by understanding that we had a certain condition that had us thinking a certain way and didn't look at other things like he was saying about, I didn't know it affected so many people. I thought it was just me. A lot of us go into the program thinking that way until we open up in more vulnerable ways and we realize like, wow, you know, I actually affected way more people than I thought. And, you know, moving forward, I want to make amends. And that's the work we want to do, is just constantly make amends. It's 52 weeks. It covers all kind of different styles of violence, especially domestic violence. And we deal with a whole lot of exercises in between. And we really come to a place of peace in heart, mind, and spirit at the end. And we sign a pledge to never commit violence again. And so Michael, he did such a wonderful job in explaining it to you guys. And I just wanted to just highlight that part of it's all about accountability and understanding.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both. That's, yeah. I don't even know what to say. That was absolutely beautiful. Thanks for sharing that with us and breaking down what GRIP is. We have a few minutes for folks. I want to open it up for folks to have an opportunity to ask a question or two.
It could be anything.
I see Hal's hand.
Okay.
Oh wait, you're still muted, Hal.
Thank you, Fatine and Michael. That was, as Fatine said, powerful. I'm curious what your reaction was when you first heard about the program, and what allowed you to commit yourself to enter it.
I'll go real quick. I first heard about GRIP when I was in San Quentin State Prison in 2012. It was in its infancy at that time. I was part of the second group, my tribe 928. And I got in through the mindfulness program that was established by Jacques Verdun, who is also the founder of GRIP. Just attending there immediately after I got to that prison, it was introduced to me, and I hadn't done any programs at that time, so I was a little nervous about it. I never shared much about my life to this extent, and it was very nerve-wracking to get into, but I knew I needed to find out what was going on with me, like why this anger is so prevalent in my life, like what is happening. So I took that leap of faith and joined. And it ended up growing down the line. We started with just 2 groups, and it ended up growing down the line. And in San Quentin alone, it was like 5 classes that's, you know, was established before I was released. So it's just great to see how it grew and how many lives it's touching right now. It is awesome to see that, you know. So yeah, I learned it. I found out about it immediately after I got to the prison and got into mindfulness and got in GRIP from there, and been involved ever since. Yeah.
Thank you, Fatine. Thank you.
And yeah, and when I got involved with GRIP, it was brand new to the yard. I joined GRIP from Avenal State Prison, And for me, it was just a means to get home. So like I explained, like I said before, I was a lifer. I was sentenced to 16 years to life, which meant that I had to do a minimum of 16 years. But the Board of Prison Hearings also had the option of keeping me in there for the rest of my life. So in order for me to come home, I had to go through the Board of Prison Hearings to do what's called a parole consideration hearing. And part of what is required of me in preparation for that hearing is I have to develop insight into my life crime, which is understand how I became the kind of person who would commit the crime that I did to go to prison. I had to develop parole plans. I had to write remorse letters. I had to do lots and lots of self-help groups, which is where GRIP came in. I didn't have any idea of what GRIP was at the time. It was just a new group, and I figured, why not? It's going to be another certificate that's going to help me get out. But what kept me in the group, because there was a lot of programs that I started and was just feeling like I'm not going to continue to waste my time with this. I'll find a different certificate, because I really didn't care. What kept me in GRIP was that I think it was like the third meeting that we had in my tribe, 498. There was, I believe, 28 or 29 guys. And on the third meeting, we were all crying together. And we were crying and talking about things that all of us could relate to. Not everybody's trauma was identical, but everybody understood exactly what everybody was feeling. And every other program that I had been involved in, always stayed on the surface. They would talk about ways to cope with anger, but never what made us angry or what anger actually was. And yeah, I was moved. I was moved, and I knew I was involved in a very powerful program, because it changed the yard that I was on. There was drugs and there was violence, not to a tremendous extent, but it was around, and that was always the focus. And then people started noticing what a gripper looked like. They started noticing the smiles on their faces, the relief, just the lightness in our step all of a sudden. They started to take notice of the way the guys in the GRIP tribe would greet each other and act around each other and check on each other, hugging on each other. And when other people started acknowledging that, I was like, man, this is real. And so I stayed, and I haven't looked back. 4 years now.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Fatine. We've just got a couple minutes, and I see Sarah has her hand, but I wanted to make sure folks got this. So both of you mentioned the tribe and tribe numbers. And I remember when we were visiting, I was blown away by what all that meant. Can you explain to folks what the tribe number means?
Yeah, so every tribe gets its name, which is the number. For instance, the tribe I was in was tribe 498. And that number derives from a culmination of how many years each of the tribe members had spent incarcerated. So there was 29 guys in my group, and we had spent a total throughout our lives of 498 years incarcerated. And there's another part of that exercise that we do that we ask how long did it take for us to commit the crimes? From decision to action, how long did it take? And for the most part, the answers are 1 second, 2 seconds, maybe a few seconds to make the decision and then commit the crime that got us incarcerated. And I don't remember the exact number, but I do know that it was less than 2 minutes total. And it was the first mind-blowing part of the program to sit there and think, to realize, to see it on paper, to see it written up on a whiteboard, It took less than 2 minutes for us to lose 498 years of our lives to the system.
Thank you for breaking that down for us, Michael. Appreciate it. Thank you. And I did see Sarah's hand. This will be, I think it will have to be our last one so we can get, but I want to make sure that's Sarah and Otter, I believe. I see you there. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Devin. Thank you so
Hey.
much. Thank you so much to Michael and Fatine. I'm really moved by your stories, and I'm really sold on the program. I'm an educator at a county jail in Massachusetts, and I'd love to bring this to my guys in some way. I understand that. I feel like it's really important and really successful in that it's peer-led. And so I'm wondering like how I can connect my students with the program, especially since 52 weeks is a long time for a jail setting rather than a prison setting. Anyway, just wondering, any information would be great. I can also look it up on my own. So I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
So the director of the GRIP Training Institute will probably be able to provide you with more information about that. Yeah, I mean, we are looking to try to expand as best as possible. We want a lot of people, as many people as we can, to benefit from this program. And I can check in with the director and let her know about your interests, and then I will contact Devin, and we can stay in touch that way about that.
Good, thank you.
Well,
Before we go, I know we only have a minute and I want to make sure that, well, it is 5 o'clock that we end. Please, I would love if everyone can support this program. So if you can go to insightworldaid.org, all donations will go to GRIP. This program needs to continue. It needs to flourish. It needs to thrive. And I don't even have to tell you why. You just heard it. So I think we're good on that front. Yeah. Anybody that's inside needs this, and what they got, and they're bringing outside what they're modeling. That's where we're getting. I'm in a 4-year Dharma training program to teach me to do all sorts of things, and they got what I got. I mean, we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same work. We're doing service work, and so much appreciation for Fatine and Michael for joining us. Michael's at work, as he said. He's at work, so appreciate you coming and doing this. And yeah, much love to you all. We'll be back next month with another program. I have no idea what that program is going to be next month, but if you show up on the first Sunday, you'll see. Any and all information is on the website. There's a beautiful TED Talk and spoken word piece that Fatine does. It's on the website. You can find it on YouTube. Check it out. It's good stuff. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you, gentlemen.